Hello everybody. A friend of mine recently asked me to film my process of making soft cover journals. So a journal like I had made for Halloween, for October Daily this year, and my previous ones that are in a similar style like this. So the pages in them are 6 by 9, and I will show you how I make them. So what I usually start with, I start with this interfacing that I get at Joann's. I like to get the kind that has adhesive on both sides, just so this way I don't have to worry about gluing the fabric myself. I can just iron it on and it will stick to the interfacing. But it depends what they have in stock when I go. I'm not super picky. I do prefer the sturdier kind, so it's kind of like cardstock sort of, but it's still bendable. And then I cut it to 14 by 10 inches. That's the size that works for me. And then for the outside cover, lately I like using fleece fabric. I don't know, just my preference. It feels nice and soft and cozy. So I usually get my fabric, again, the local store I have here is Joann's that sells fabric, and I get them in 1/3 of a yard size or cut, and it just works perfect for this type of journals that I'm making. The reason I have this size is because I like to use scrapbooking paper for my journals, and so then it just works perfectly well. I take the 12 by 12 scrapbooking paper, fold it in half. It gives me 6 width for each page, and then I cut it down to 9 inches. And then this fabric as well would allow me to use it for 2 covers, and then if I purchase 1/3 of a yard, it's wide enough to let me use it for 2 different covers, and then there'll be some snippets left to use for pockets or as for tags or something like that. So what I usually do is I start with this layer, then I would go and iron it on, and then I will fold it on each side, just like so. And then after that I will put my inside fabric in and iron it on if it's adhesive on both sides, or just pin it down if it's not. So for the inside, for this journal, I'm going to use this beautiful brocade fabric. I actually got it from Pink Odd Bird from April when she was selling her fabrics, and this is not the piece I purchased. This is a piece that she used to wrap up the stack of fabric that I did buy, which was really nice. Thank you, April. And so it's a little bit short, so usually I like to fold this fabric too on the edges, but I've also done it where I didn't fold it, I just cut it, and then because it's just for a journal, it's not for a piece of clothing, it only frays a little bit and it doesn't bother me. But again, alternatively, you can fold it, so it will be folded this way, and then before you attach this to the top, you will fold it this way. So I will go ahead and iron both of these pieces on, and then I will stitch around. And I usually stitch using just a regular stitch twice, and then I go over it with a zigzag stitch as well. So I will do that, and then I will show you what I do next. I'll be back. So now I have covered my interfacing with fabric on both sides, so this is what it looks like. Again, I just did the stitching I told you about, where I stitched it twice around with regular stitch, and then one more time with zigzag stitch. So and then brocade fabric, it did fray quite a bit, so we'll see what happens. I cut off all the pieces that frayed, but again, this is just a journal, not a piece of clothing, so I hope most of the time for me it just stays the way it is, although this is the first time I'm working with brocade. So the next thing to do is to I like to have my journals be like traveler's notebook where I attach my signatures with elastic bands. So I needed to mark where my holes would go, where I'm going to attach elastic. So again, I would just center it, and I do 3/4 of an inch between two of my signatures. So I just found the middle, and then did quarter of an inch, and then half of a quarter of an inch, sorry, what is it, 5/8, 3/8, 3/8 on either side, so it's 3/4 of an inch total space in between. And then I just marked with a Sharpie. So what I do next is I have this We Are Memory Keepers, a hole punch. So I use, I'm not sure what size it is, I bought mine quite a while ago. Sorry, I was just trying to figure out my camera. So I use the smaller hole to punch them out. So I just center it, and I need to turn the light on. So sorry, it's gonna be reflective, but the light is not the best today. So let me just center it. Okay, so then I just punch through it, and it does a pretty good job, although a lot of times it would not come out completely. The hole is punched, but just on one of the sides. So then I take my just little scissors here, and I just cut off what needs to be cut off. So I will go ahead and do all 4 holes that way. And I apologize if some things are off camera or you're not able to see them very well. I'm still learning on how to do this and how to hold everything in front of the camera. So again, I will go ahead and punch all 4 holes, and then I will show you what I do next. So let me just do that off camera. Okay, so now I was able to punch these 4 holes. So hopefully you can see them right here. There's 2 on one side and 2 on the other side. So again, this punch does punch through just fine. Sometimes you just have to cut off a little bit of those discarded pieces because they don't come off all the way. So now the next thing to do is to run the elastic through, and I just buy elastic at Michael's often. I think it's meant for like kids jewelry making, but it works just fine, except I do like to double it up. So not just one layer, but I do double it up. Another thing to think about is my closure. So just like lately I've been enjoying just sewing some sari silk ribbon directly on top of my journal. I would just zigzag stitch it in a small area a few times, and then I take a button and I sew it over where I zigzag stitch. And also sometimes if you do want to make some kind of bookmark, you can attach that first. So if I am making a bookmark, which I think I will, I would just go here between these 2 holes, and I would also attach a piece of sari silk ribbon, so something like this. I'm thinking this color for this one right now, so it will look pretty. And then I have this kind of pretty cool button from Joann's that I got at Joann's, and it's kind of almost like a little bowl shaped. Looks pretty neat, so I think I will use that. So I will go ahead and attach my bookmark. I will attach some sari silk to make my closure, and then I will put the elastics through, and then I'll come back and show you all this. Okay, now that our cover is all stitched, I have attached the bookmark, just making sure that I sew between my 2 holes here, not over them. And then I also attached the ribbon that will become the closure, and I like to have it go around 3 times, and then the 4th time it will be wrapped around the button right here. So now it's time to put the elastics in. I like to double them up because Some of them can be rather thin, the ones for jewelry making, and then I'll just show you how to insert it. So it's a pretty easy process, but we'll start right here. And we'll go into the first hole. I apologize if I'm off camera, I'm still learning how to do all this. And then the second one goes here like so. So now it's attached right here, and the elastics come out on the outside. Again, it's just like traveler's notebooks, so if you already using those, you probably know how to do this. And then we'll do one more this way on the bottom. So again, putting it through the bottom hole on the left at first, and then flipping it over and putting it through the hole on the right side. So now we have our elastic inserted, and when I was learning how to make these, somewhere I read that your elastics should be kind of tight, so it's okay for your cover to be bent like this a little bit. It will be totally flat once you insert your signatures in there, but you just want to make sure that it is nice and tight so it holds your signatures really well. So it's totally fine for the elastic to, or not for the elastic, but for the cover to buckle. And I'll just tie it in a knot just like this, and then now I just want to make sure it's tight enough when I put the signatures in. So before I can probably go ahead and cut these off. So just cut them off and leave some tails on just in case for a little bit. Okay, so now I'm ready to put my signatures in. Just double check that it's tied well. Okay, so for my signatures, I went ahead and I prepped some pages. So like I said, I took 12 by 12 scrapbooking papers, fall themed, cut them at 9 inches tall, folded them in half, and that's why I used the size I used. And then I also went and jelly printed my papers. The back side was white, so I just created some background with my jelly print. I put some book pages in. I saw this, April did this, pink cut bird. That's not my idea to fold them this way, but I thought they were fun. And then coffee dyed papers, scrapbooking, some digital journal pages that I printed on my home printer here. And so that's kind of the structure of my book so far. I might remove something or add something later. And then when we come here to the middle, then I have this beautiful fox image right in the middle. So I don't bind my signatures while I'm working on them. I like to stitch on my pages, and so this way I can remove the pages easily and stitch on them. And then at the very end, it really depends. Sometimes I go ahead and stitch them, and other times I don't. It really depends on how well the pages are holding together, what else I've done in the book. So I'll probably move this around so it's not right in the eye of this beautiful fox. But here are my 2 pages now, and so the only thing that is left is to attach my button. So to attach the button, because the interfacing is pretty thick, I do poke the holes first. So I just take any kind of tool like this and then decide where I'm going to attach my button, just somewhere over here. And then I do poke the holes first. Otherwise, the regular needle, it will be too hard for it to go through. So just poke the holes first, and then I'm using waxed thread for this, again just for it to be a little more sturdy. and the only thing here is just putting it through the holes the first time, and then the second time, and you can kind of see the holes through the light. And I leave a tail that I will tie off later. So now I'll just do it one more time at least. And sometimes it, just because of the interfacing, it can be a little hard to poke this through, but it does help to have the holes done first. Okay, so second time, and maybe third time just in case. And again, I apologize if this is not, it's not easy to see. I'm just not yet used to making these kinds of videos. Okay, so now that this part is done, I can trim my thread, and then I just tie it into a knot. And wax thread that is used for bookbinding is pretty sturdy, but I don't see any issues if you use some other thick thread or even regular thread, but just go over through the button quite a few times because you want it to be there on there pretty sturdy. So my button is attached now. I trim my thread, and now have my bookmark here, and then I can wrap my journal around and then wrap it around this button. This button is pretty cool. I quite like it. So this is what it looks like, and I'll just flip it through really quickly and I will tell you my plans. So I will probably attach something to my bookmark and also something to the end of the closure ribbon, just like I did on my Halloween journal, but I'm not sure yet what I want to attach, so I'll think about it a little bit more. And then again, it's very simple. I'm a little bit anxious to see how this unravels, but again, I have never had problems before, so I'm assuming it will be just fine. So for my plans, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to be doing, but I will definitely be decorating these thicker scrapbooking pages, and then I kept these coffee dyed papers, just printer papers for writing. I could not find anyone hosting a November daily and November prompts that were suitable for junk journaling specifically, so I found some from previous years and I was considering using those, but then just today I found out that Priscilla at Release the Crafton is going to host poetry prompts this year again, as she did last year. Last year I did not participate, but this year, so I might participate in that instead of doing writing prompts, but again, we'll see. I'm keeping my options open for now. I have never written poetry before, so it might be fun. I might even do both, depending how much room I have, so I'll think about it. I think I'm just interested in having something written in this journal. That's what I'm in the mood for, to do some sort of writing along with just decorating the pages in fall theme. So I will use some stuff from craft stores, some printables, things like that. And if you're doing any kind of November daily, please let me know. I would love to follow you, or if you found some prompts somewhere, please let me know and maybe I'll switch to those. But after we finish October daily, I'm always so inspired. I just want to keep going, so I do want to use this journal in November for something new. Here you go. So I hope this was useful to some of you, and I will post probably weekly flip-throughs at the minimum, and maybe I will do some process videos. Let me know if that's something you would like to see. Thank you very much for watching. Happy November. Bye.